Welcome back to another all-walk sociology video, everyone. Today, we're diving beneath the surface of Canadian education. Sure, Canada leads the world with 56% of adults holding a post-secondary credential, but that big success number masks serious systemic barriers. Let's pull back the curtain on the contrasts, challenges, and solutions shaping education in Canada.
Absolutely, we're taking on tuition hikes, provincial differences, Indigenous education, and more. Plus, we'll talk about specific action steps, like investigating real-life distinctions-based policies for Indigenous learners, exploring the Atlantic Veterinary College's SEATS program, and seeing how AI might reshape education planning.
First off, Canada has an enviable post-secondary completion rate, but education is primarily a provincial responsibility. That means 10 different systems, 10 different sets of rules and resources. Where you live can significantly affect the quality of education you get.
Right, you can picture a patchwork quilt. Each province has its own approach, and that leads to disparities. We need more data on how, say, a rural student in Saskatchewan might fare compared to an urban student in Ontario. It's crucial to examine these geographical outcomes more closely.
Next up, money. Tuition fees in Canada have risen by over 200% since the 1980s. That's outpacing inflation on almost everything else. Low-income families often face a steep uphill climb just to afford a college or university education.
Exactly. This isn't just an individual or family problem, it's a societal issue. When tuition becomes a barrier, it can reinforce existing inequities, and that's where government policy and targeted funding come in.
Let's talk about Indigenous communities. These learners face unique challenges rooted in historical injustices, including the lasting trauma of the residential school system. Distinctions-based policies are emerging as a key strategy. They acknowledge the specific needs of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit students.
Yes, and that's where programs like the Atlantic Veterinary College's Indigenous Seats initiative come into play. They reserve seats specifically for Indigenous applicants, offering them dedicated pathways and support. It's a bold model that could be replicated in more fields, something worth investigating further to measure its long-term effectiveness.
Exactly. We also need culturally sensitive curricula, language revitalization, and mentorship programs to ensure Indigenous students feel empowered and supported, not just admitted. If you're curious about their impact, consider researching outcomes data or contacting program coordinators for first-hand insights.
Another big piece is access, especially for rural students, working parents, or people with disabilities. Online and hybrid models can help. They cut down on commute and relocation costs, and they open doors for those who can't easily get to a physical campus.
Right. We saw this become the norm during the pandemic. Suddenly, schools adapted to remote learning. The question now is, can we use those lessons to create permanent, flexible systems that help everyone? This is where AI-powered simulations might also come in, helping policymakers predict how expanded online programs affect graduation rates and job outcomes.
That's an exciting frontier. Government agencies and educators can test various approaches in a virtual lab before rolling them out in real life. We should follow up on any pilot projects or ongoing research that tracks these AI-driven policy experiments. Even if you complete your degree, modern employers increasingly want soft skills like communication, teamwork, and critical thinking. Diplomas or degrees alone don't guarantee opportunities if schools aren't also emphasizing these competencies. We see more and more job postings looking for problem solvers who can adapt to new tech and collaborate across teams. That's partly why the education system itself needs to evolve, shifting from rote memorization to project-based learning, experiential education, and other innovative strategies. Meanwhile, we can't overlook the power of mentorship in safe spaces, especially for marginalized students, whether they come from low-income backgrounds, rural areas, or are part of the LGBTQI+ community.
Organizations like Breaking Barriers excel in that arena. They provide financial assistance, tutoring, and support networks specifically designed for underrepresented groups. If you're interested, look into their success metrics, how many students they've helped, graduation rates, career outcomes, and so on. It's an invaluable model for bridging gaps.
Yes, and every community group plays a role. Local mentorship programs, after-school tutoring, and safe meeting places where students can find belonging. Small steps can lead to big systemic shifts. So how can viewers get involved or learn more? Here are a few direct action items. 1. Investigate distinctions-based policies. Look deeper into how governments and institutions tailor resources specifically for Indigenous students. 2. Research Indigenous seats programs. The Atlantic Veterinary College is a leading example. Find similar initiatives at other schools and see if they truly expand opportunities. 3. Check out Breaking Barriers. Learn about their programs and success metrics. How do they measure student retention, graduation rates, and long-term achievements? 4. Explore AI-powered simulations. Keep an eye out for pilot projects in Canadian provinces using data modeling to plan education policies. 5. Map the geographic divide. Look into how provinces differ in terms of outcomes and funding. If you're a policy buff, school board advocate, or concerned parent, local data can guide meaningful reforms. We've covered a lot. Canada's high degree attainment, the challenge of soaring tuition, the importance of culturally sensitive strategies for Indigenous learners, plus the power of online education, mentorship, and soft skills training.
It might feel overwhelming, but there's real hope. We're seeing initiatives that tackle barriers head-on, from distinctions-based funding to innovative tech solutions. You can make a difference too, by volunteering, staying informed, and pushing for equitable policies.
Remember, education is not just a private benefit, it's a public good that shapes our society. When we invest in an inclusive and equitable system, we uplift everyone.
So, whether you're a student, a parent, an educator, or just a curious citizen, let's keep the conversation going. Share your thoughts, stay vocal, and don't hesitate to hold institutions and policymakers accountable.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Canadian education. If you found this valuable, give us a like, subscribe for more conversations, and let us know in the comments how you're engaging with these issues in your community.
Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep pushing for a better tomorrow.